Hello, everybody. So this is Edgar. Today, I want to talk about interview questions when applying for a role at a software development company. So over the years, I've been applying for different companies, and I have some experience with what kind of questions they ask to new candidates for recruiting. And well, recently I had an interview for a Californian company um, remotely. So what I did, I just wrote down some of the questions that I received that I had to answer, and then I tried to recognize which of these questions are common. So what I mean is that some of these questions have been in my previous processes as when applying for companies. So some of these questions are very repetitive, in my opinion, because many companies like to ask these kind of questions. So I think that it's useful for somebody who is just getting started applying for jobs, for software development jobs at different companies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to to read these questions, and I'm going to respond to these questions the way that I personally did. So I have I have had success with these applications, so I think that these answers can give you a guidance of what you could use when you're um, applying, and in any case that you run into similar questions like these. So let's get started. So the very first question is, of course, about um, telling your name, your role of expertise, and the tech stacks that you've used or your tech skills that you're most comfortable with, and why the company should hire you. So I'm going to go step by step. So, of course, my name is Edgar. My role of expertise is as a JavaScript full stack developer. So I'm very comfortable working with JavaScript ecosystems for the front end as well as on the back end. And the tech skills that I feel the most comfortable with are um, working with specific frameworks like React, Vue, and Angular for building web interfaces. So working on the front end, and of course technologies like CSS, CSS in JS, and HTML for styling and markup. My preferred language is, of course, JavaScript, but I also have a good grasp with TypeScript, so I feel comfortable working with TypeScript as well. And for the backend, I have expertise working with Node and Express for building RESTful APIs, with Apollo Server for building GraphQL APIs, and I work with different databases. So as far as SQL databases go, I work with with MySQL, with SQL Server, with Oracle database, Postgres, and SQLite. And as far as NoSQL databases go, I work with MongoDB and DynamoDB, and to a certain extent Redis. So those are the databases that I've used. I've worked with different ORMs for communicating my server with the database, like SQLize, Mongoose, and Prisma. And well, I think that the company should hire me because I'm a constant learner. So I have this part of me that is always constantly searching for improving my current skills and expanding my skills to learning new ones. So I'm very curious about everything that goes in the tech world. So I'm always constantly looking for new technologies to learn or new features that have been implemented to previous technologies that I already have some knowledge in, that I would like to also learn, just to be able to get updated to that specific technology. So I really like software development, and that's why I'm constantly learning, and I also have this passion for um, self improvement. So I think that I'm not only improving myself in my tech skills, I'm always looking for other skills that are relevant, like soft skills, like communication. I try to improve my English speaking skills. Um, and I want to improve the ways that I communicate so that I can be um, more clear. I can get straight to the point, and people can understand clearly what I'm saying, and to be able to propose solutions in a way that my team can understand. Be more empathetic so that I can understand my clients' needs and then apply my knowledge and skills to solve those problems. Okay, so the second question is, what is the project that you feel the proudest, and why? And what was your contribution in the project? Okay, so I think that mm, the project that I feel the proudest has been a project that I worked for a hospitality corporation, and I needed to implement a microservices architecture for um, for payments. So I needed to create the system that was responsible for charging people and then paying out. So I think that I'm the proudest in this project because it was the very first opportunity that I had to design a microservices architecture and actually implement um, to develop that design using this pattern of microservices that at the time it was very different from the common monolithic approach that I used to work with. So that's why I feel the proudest, because I had the time to design it and to implement it and to also be part of the decision makers and which technologies would be the best, and just taking responsibility for this project, and that was my contribution, being like a leader in developing the microservice architecture and organizing the team to be able to perform correctly. Okay, so third question: what is the biggest failure that you've had, and how were you able to solve it? So I think that the biggest failure that I have in my career as a software developer has been my mentality of not being a team member. So in the past, whenever I had to confront a specific problem that I wasn't very comfortable solving it, I had this mentality of only me being the responsible to find a solution, and not asking any questions to anybody else in the team. Maybe because I was afraid of what people would think about me if I wasn't as resourceful and skilled as I was supposed to be, or because I didn't want to bother people by asking questions. Uh, but that was very problematic because I wasted a lot of time trying to solve something that maybe somebody else in the team has already solved it. And now I was able to solve it by just changing my mentality of not thinking that I was just me in the team. So I was part of the team, and I could rely on other team members for, asking questions and asking opinions, and then they kindly will reply me, will tell me their opinions, and then, of course, they probably most of the time they wouldn't give me a concrete answer, but that was okay because I got an idea from senior developers that had a lot more experience than me, and then with that single idea or with that insight, I could rethink the process that I was doing, and I was able to solve my problem. So basically, just being a team member, always communicating, and think about how to present specific concern to others in the team, so that as a team we can solve that specific issue. Okay, so the fourth question is, what elements are necessary for a successful team and why? Well, I think that there are four keys that are like extremely important to be able to succeed as a team. So the number one is communication. As I said in the previous uh, answer, I think that communication is extremely important because it's very rare to find a project where there's only one developer. So most of the projects have very large teams where there's a lot of people, and we need to be able to communicate the most effectively so that we can get right to the point and find a solution as fast as possible without wasting too much time. So communication is important. If you have something that is like causing you some kind of problem, you should ask. You should just communicate your concerns to others so that somebody else can give you a second opinion. So communication is key. The second attribute would be resourcefulness. So maybe somebody asked me about something, and let's say that I'm not able to give them or to give her an exact answer right now, or the proper answer right now, because maybe I don't know the answer at the time. That's okay. But with resourcefulness, I mean that I have to be able to tell some kind of guidance. So maybe I'm not able to give the answer 100% correct, but I'm able to say, or I'm able to give some pointers about what should be useful to try. So maybe you try this and it didn't work, but it would work if you try this something else and this and this and this. Why? Because I have some experience working with this kind of issues, and I think the project can go to this direction. So you should try something like this. So that's what I mean with resourcefulness. Always doing your best to implement a solution, even if you're not completely sure of what that solution might be. And the third attribute that I think is very important is kindness. So I think that people should be kind when dealing with others. So when I'm in a team, I don't want to work with somebody that is like angry or that feels extremely uncomfortable just because I'm trying to communicate concern that I need is necessary to communicate to others. Uh, because in my mind, someone like that doesn't think like a team member. So that person thinks that it's a hassle to be able to deal with people who are asking questions. And I don't really think that's a successful attitude. So, of course, if somebody asks you the same question again and again, um, that's not a good sign. But also, I think that if they ask you a question, at least the very first time you should be able to respond um, with a good attitude. That's what I mean with kindness. And lastly, the willingness to help others. So I think that the willingness to help others is kind of related to the previous character trait that I defined as resourcefulness, because about kindness, because it's about attitude, being able to be helpful to others, and not feel like a burden or something that you have to do, something that you do because you know that is positive, not only for them, but for you and for the team and for the project, because in the end, we want the project to be successful. That's what I think. The willingness to help others is vital for a good and successful team. All right, so those are the questions that I found in software development interviews when applying for jobs. So let me know, what do you think about these? And what should your answers be to those questions? And also tell me if if you have some question that you find that is very common in your experience and that you think that it's important to others to know, what would be your answer to that question, so that we can learn together and we can do best we can do better in our next interview at our software development company. So thank you very much for the time, and see you soon. Bye bye.